Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gun Tour, your soon-to-be favorite weapons and travel show. Now I went and tested the BMP-3, the Russian-made infantry fighting vehicle. If you haven't seen the video yet, check in the description, there's a link for you. But this video is not about the BMP-3 itself, it's about how it's actually made. And our first location was the Foundry, and it was retardedly hot. I was just trying not to get a heat stroke over there. Make a part for the chassis. They're taking molten iron into the sand cast right over there. That's a very difficult job. That molten iron is 1,600 degrees Celsius, and these men don't feel a thing probably.
Boom, guerrilla stomping in a zoo. Check the vocals, animals get it right. Boom.
Next was the forge, where huge hammers stamp armor into existence. The stamping process is so loud that you can barely hear your own thoughts. The forge was like hell. I mean, it was really scary, and the earth-shattering stamping process was felt to the core. When I was a kid, I thought it would be cool to be a blacksmith, but now I've just come to realize that it's actually a very dangerous and a difficult job. But what really blew me away is how they make fine mechanical parts out of raw metal in mere seconds.
Right. The fan! The parts! Of the chassis, the body, part of the fan.
Then there was the quietest place in the factory, the assembly line. I was able to talk to the deputy chief of the factory, and he told me exactly how this process works. The assembly process starts with tack welding of the main parts of the BMP-3, like the roof, the chassis, and the sides. But the most interesting part was the second and final welding process, after which they check for any defects and defaults that may or may not have occurred during the welding processes.
Now, so this is the BMP on the side where they're gonna weld. Now, I told you about the second welding process. Now, this is what they weld inside the BMP. Basically, they're gonna put up the engine, I think somewhere over there, and the transmission, the seats, everything. For that, you need to put in brackets and everything else. And this is what the second process is for. And it's all made of armored aluminum. Like, it's an aluminum alloy, which makes the BMP extremely light. This is where they put the gun off the machine. The cannon is over there. Here they put the engine in. As you can see, there are the big holes there for powering the tracks. I mean, it's an awesome machine. This is a very big assembly line. There are even rails inside the factory and a huge crane that takes the entire body, the ready body of the BMP to the end of the assembly line so that it can be transported outside to the next part of the process.
The Kurganmash factory was built in 1950, and at the time it produced cranes and was called the Kurgan plant of heavy cranes. It would receive its first military order in 1955, the Project 712, which was a tracked artillery tractor. They really began to specialize in IFVs in 1966 when the BMP-1 entered into large-scale production. From 1980, the BMP-2 came into series production, and already by 1987, the super successful BMP-3 came into production to replace the BMP-2. Today, the plant, other than the BMP itself, also produces airborne combat vehicles that are very light and maneuverable. They're delivered by airdrop, helicopter lift, and air landing to the battlefield, along with the airborne troops or the paratroopers.
The scale of this factory is mind-blowing. Like, there are people working in every part of the process. They bring the frames and they weld them right here at every single assembly stand, and then they send it over there for the rewelding process.
After completing all the previous stages, there is the final assembly process, the joining of the powertrain, the weapon systems, all the electronics to the body of the BMP-3.
Guys, This is the moment where they're putting the engine, the ready powertrain with the transmission, the engine, right inside the engine bay. It's a very scary process. This engine weighs probably a couple of tons. Very, very slowly, so that there are no mistakes, so that nobody misses anything.
Окончательно собранный боевой модуль.
Это магазин,
90-мм выстрелов
это башня.
по башне.
А
Толпа.
вот это что такое?
Стабилизатор вооружения. Это привода горизонтальный, вертикальный.
Интересно.
Это магазин.
Это магазин.
Да, 30-мм выстрелов.
So this is very interesting. And this is the stabilizing module. It stabilizes the whole turret. It stabilizes all the cannons so that it can shoot perfectly. And this is the magazine. This is where all the ammunition is kept. And this is the module for the auto loader. Now the auto loader means that there's no need for a person to load the ammunition manually. It's completely automatic. So this is basically they're testing the functionality of the turret and basically testing the stabilization of the gun. Now they're basically testing the engine in underwater conditions. So that, because this is an amphibious vehicle, when it goes under a river or a lake, the engine needs to withstand water. If the engine bay gets flooded, you see those holes, the water exits the holes so that the engine doesn't get flooded. So they've let me go inside the machine, inside the BMP, while it's getting hydro tested underwater. Hopefully I won't fall and break my neck while they actually do it. Ah! That's a big ass engine. It's so loud. That's a massive V10. You can feel the diesel. If you check, the engine is practically underwater. That's great. He's changing gears under the water, running the engine at different speeds. So as you can see, the gun turret, centimeter by centimeter, is being put right into the BMP. And after this, I think the BMP will be ready because the transmission and the engine, the powertrain basically is already attached to the BMP. It needs to slide right in perfectly so that everything is perfectly aligned. Just look how technically these people are working. So, that was a success. Right on the first try, everything went in very smoothly.
Developed right at the plant, it's a latest generation BMP, but the Russian army reportedly wanted to add some improvements to the IFV, so now Kurganmash is developing the new version of Kurganets. In 2021, Kurganmash also presented a self-propelled anti-tank gun called the Sprut-SD M1. It was designed specifically for the Russian airborne troops to significantly increase their firepower. I hope one day they will let me check out all these deadly machines. Kurganmash is one of the largest and the most successful factories in the former USSR and now in Russia. Tens of thousands of armored vehicles have been produced here and thousands have been exported to eager nations that want to operate these awesome machines. Thousands of vehicles across dozens of nations. Here you can see the countries using the Russian BMP platform IFVs.
So this is a ready-made BMP, all fired up and tested, going out, fully ready to rock and roll wherever the hell it's going. Guys, visiting this place was such a humbling experience, and I just want to tip my hat off to all these people working these hard and dangerous jobs. In India, we have the Avadi tank plant, the BMP factory in Medak, and the Amethi AK factory. I would like to thank all those workers for their service because they are the ones who are making all these important things
for our army. Guys, that's it for today, and I would like to thank you for watching our channel, The Gun Tour. And if you like our channel, if you like the content that we're making, don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course comment. We'll get back to you 100%.